Our story, the story of humanity in this modern age, took a decisive turn in the 1970s. It was a time of great change, but also of great warning. For decades, we had built our world on a seemingly endless supply of cheap oil. This black gold, drawn from deep within the earth, powered our cars, heated our homes, and fueled our industries. Our societies grew at a pace never before seen in the long history of life on this planet. We came to see this abundance not as a temporary gift, but as a permanent right. The belief in perpetual growth, supported by this fossil fuel, became the central pillar of our global civilization, a belief we held with unshakable confidence. Then, suddenly, the taps were tightened. The oil crisis of 1973 sent a shockwave across the globe, a tremor that rattled the very foundations of our way of life. Long queues formed at petrol stations, lights dimmed in our cities, and the hum of industry faltered. For the first time, we were forced to confront a startling reality. Our prosperity was fragile, utterly dependent on a finite resource controlled by forces beyond our individual reach. The crisis was more than an economic inconvenience. It was a profound psychological blow. It revealed the precariousness of our existence and planted a seed of doubt about the future we had so confidently charted for ourselves. This moment should have been a great awakening. It was a clear, unambiguous signal that our path was unsustainable. We had been given a glimpse of a future where the energy we took for granted was no longer cheap or plentiful. It was an opportunity to pause, to reflect, and to fundamentally change our direction. We could have embraced the challenge, seeking out new, cleaner, and more sustainable ways to power our world. The crisis laid bare our vulnerability, showing us that our reliance on a single polluting source of energy was a gamble we could not afford to continue. It was a crossroads, a moment to choose a different, wiser path forward. Instead, after the initial shock subsided, we chose the path of least resistance. We doubled down. We searched for more oil, drilling deeper into the earth and further into the oceans. We fought to secure access to it, drawing lines on maps and shaping international politics around its flow. The urgent lesson of the 1970s was not learned, it was merely postponed. We treated the crisis as a temporary problem to be solved with more of the same, rather than as a fundamental symptom of a flawed system. This decision to ignore the warning and continue our addiction would set the stage for the far greater challenges that awaited us in the decades to come. Long before the oil crisis forced our hand, there were brilliant minds who saw a different future for humanity. They were visionaries who dreamed of a world powered not by burning the remains of ancient life, but by harnessing the clean, inexhaustible forces of nature itself. One such mind was Nikola Tesla, a man who imagined a world connected by wireless energy, drawn freely from the very fabric of the planet. He envisioned a system where power was not a commodity to be bought and sold, but a universal resource available to all. His dream was one of technological harmony where human ingenuity worked with the planet, not against it. Tesla's vision, and others like it, offered us a tantalizing glimpse of an alternative path. Imagine a world where our cities were powered by the sun, our industries driven by the wind, and our vehicles moved by the tides. This was not a fantasy, it was a tangible possibility. The science was there, waiting to be developed and embraced. Had we invested in these ideas with the same vigor we invested in extracting fossil fuels, our world today would be unrecognizably different. We could have built a civilization that was not only technologically advanced, but also deeply sustainable, ensuring a stable and prosperous future for generations yet to come. But this road was not taken. The pursuit of immense profit and centralized control offered by the oil industry proved too seductive. The systems of power and wealth were already built around an economy of extraction and combustion. To change course would have required a monumental shift in thinking and a willingness to dismantle the very structures that enriched a powerful few. The dream of clean, decentralized energy was seen as a threat to this established order. It was easier and far more profitable in the short term to continue drilling, pumping, and burning our way to prosperity, ignoring the long-term consequences that were slowly gathering on the horizon. So the blueprints for a cleaner world were largely filed away, and the voices of visionaries like Tesla were quieted by the roar of the internal combustion engine. We chose immediate gain over long-term wisdom. This fateful decision was not made by one person or in one moment, but through a million small choices day after day that solidified our dependence on fossil fuels. We missed a crucial opportunity to align our progress with the health of the planet. It was a collective failure of imagination, a moment when we turned away from a brighter future and walked deeper into the shadow of our own making. The consequences of our continued reliance on fossil fuels are no longer a distant threat spoken of by scientists. They are here now, written in smoke and ash across our landscapes. For decades, the carbon we have pumped into the atmosphere has been steadily warming our planet, creating conditions that are hotter, drier, and more volatile. This has turned vast areas of our world into tinderboxes, ready to ignite with the smallest spark. The wildfires we are witnessing today are not the same fires our ancestors knew. They are larger, faster, and more ferocious than anything we've seen in human history, a direct result of the world we've created. These mega-fires are a terrifying spectacle of nature's power, amplified by our own actions. They consume millions of acres of ancient forest, homes that have stood for generations, and entire ecosystems that have taken millennia to evolve. The smoke they produce chokes our cities, turning the sky an apocalyptic orange and filling our lungs with toxic particles. These fires are not merely destroying trees, they are erasing biodiversity, pushing countless species of plants and animals closer to the brink of extinction. Each blaze is a funeral pyre for a part of the natural world and a stark, visceral reminder of the price of our global addiction to oil, gas, and coal. The connection is inescapable. Every time we drive a car, fly in a plane, or power our homes with fossil fuels, we add a little more heat to the global system. This accumulated warmth dries out the soil and vegetation, creating the perfect fuel for uncontrollable fires. We are caught in a devastating feedback loop. As the planet warms, fires become more frequent and intense. And as the fires burn, they release even more carbon into the atmosphere, which in turn accelerates the warming. We are not just witnessing these disasters, we are actively feeding them day by day with our continued inaction and our refusal to change course. The images of firefighters battling infernos and families fleeing their homes have become a familiar, tragic part of our modern lives. They are a clear and painful illustration of our war against nature, a war we can never hope to win. For nature does not fight back with malice, but with consequence. The burning world is a reflection of the choices we have made. It is a fever, a symptom of a planet that is deeply unwell. These fires are sending us a message in the most brutal and direct way possible. The path we are on leads to devastation, and time is running out to extinguish the flames. Just as oil reshaped the 20th century, a new and powerful resource has come to define the 21st data. The vast streams of information we generate every day, every click, every search, every message have become the new black gold. This data is collected, refined, and used to power a new kind of industry, one that seeks not to fuel our machines, but to understand and influence our minds. Powerful algorithms, these complex computer programs, can now sift through this information to predict our behavior with astonishing accuracy. They know what we want, what we fear, and what we believe, often better than we know ourselves. This new power is largely invisible, operating behind the screens of our devices, yet its influence is profound. Companies use it to sell us products, but its application has extended far beyond commerce and into the very heart of our societies. Political campaigns and shadowy organizations now wield these tools to shape public opinion and influence the outcome of elections. The Cambridge Analytica scandal revealed how the personal data of millions was harvested without consent and used to build psychological profiles, which were then targeted with tailored messages designed to manipulate their voting behavior. Our own thoughts and feelings have become a commodity in a new marketplace of influence. Consider the rise of coordinated influence campaigns like Project 2025. This is not simply a political platform, it is a detailed blueprint for a radical reshaping of government, prepared long in advance and promoted through sophisticated digital strategies. Such initiatives use the power of data and algorithms to identify sympathetic audiences, amplify divisive narratives, and sow discord. They can create echo chambers where misinformation is presented as fact and where critical thought is drowned out by a constant stream of emotional and polarizing content. The goal is not to persuade through reasoned debate, but to engineer a desired political outcome by manipulating the digital environment in which we live. In this new era, the battle for control is no longer fought just on land or at sea, but in the realm of information. The ability to control the flow of data and to direct the algorithms that govern our digital lives is a source of immense power. It allows a small group of people to silently shape the beliefs and actions of billions. This represents a fundamental challenge to the principles of democracy and free will. If our choices are being subtly guided by invisible forces, are they truly our own? As we stand at this crossroads, we must recognize that the new oil of data, if left unchecked, could fuel a future not of awakening but of sophisticated algorithmic control. To understand the gravity of the dangers we face today, we must look to the lessons of the past. History is filled with cautionary tales of societies that, at a critical juncture, made choices that led to catastrophe. The rise of Nazi Germany in the 1930s serves as one of the most chilling examples. It began not with concentration camps and world war, but with economic hardship, national humiliation, and a deep sense of social anxiety. Into this fertile ground of discontent, a powerful and charismatic movement offered simple solutions to complex problems, scapegoating minorities and promising a return to a mythical past greatness. The tools of manipulation were different then, relying on radio broadcasts, rallies, and propaganda posters rather than algorithms. Yet the strategy was remarkably similar: to capture the public imagination by appealing to emotion over reason, fear over hope, and division over unity. They systematically dismantled democratic institutions, silenced dissenting voices, and created a pervasive atmosphere of suspicion and conformity. Ordinary people caught in the tide of powerful rhetoric and social pressure either embraced the ideology or became too afraid to oppose it. The slow erosion of truth and decency paved the way for horrors that were once unimaginable. Today we see troubling echoes of these historical patterns. The combination of economic uncertainty, rapid social change, and a pervasive sense of powerlessness is creating a similar environment of anxiety and resentment across the world. Demagogues are once again rising to power by exploiting these fears, offering simplistic narratives that blame the other for society's problems. They use the powerful tools of social media to spread misinformation, stoke division, and create a loyal following that is often resistant to facts and evidence. The relentless attacks on the press, the judiciary, and scientific institutions are designed to undermine the very pillars of a stable and rational society. The parallel is not that our current leaders are identical to those of the past, but that the psychological and social dynamics at play are dangerously familiar. The normalization of extreme rhetoric, the acceptance of lies as political strategy, and the willingness to sacrifice democratic norms for perceived security are all warning signs we have seen before. History teaches us that the path to tyranny is often a gradual one, paved with public apathy and the failure of good people to act. As we navigate the complex challenges of our time, we must remain vigilant, remembering how quickly a society can lose its way when it succumbs to the siren song of fear and division. The 21st century has confronted us not with a single, isolated problem, but with a convergence of interlocking crises that feed upon one another. This is a challenge unlike any our species has faced before. Our insatiable demand for oil has not only destabilized our climate, but has also fueled brutal conflicts around the globe. Wars have been fought and continue to be fought over access to and control of these precious energy resources. The human cost of these conflicts is measured in millions of lives lost and displaced, entire nations fractured, and a legacy of instability that ripples outwards, affecting us all. The struggle for oil is a struggle that leaves deep and lasting scars on both humanity and the planet. At the same time, the climatic consequences of burning these fuels have reached a critical point. The science is unequivocal. Our planet is warming at an alarming rate, and this warming is driving extreme weather events across every continent. We see it in the devastating floods that submerge our cities, the prolonged droughts that turn fertile land to dust, and the supercharged hurricanes that batter our coastlines with unprecedented force. These are not random acts of nature, they are the direct and predictable outcomes of our actions. Climate change is no longer a future threat. It is the turbulent and dangerous reality of our present. This environmental upheaval is in turn triggering the sixth mass extinction event in Earth's history. Unlike the previous five, which were caused by natural phenomena like asteroid impacts or volcanic activity, this one is caused by us. The destruction of habitats for agriculture and urban sprawl, the pollution of our oceans and rivers, and the rapid alteration of the global climate are wiping out species at a rate 1,000 to 10,000 times the natural background rate. From the smallest insects to the largest mammals, the web of life that supports us all is unraveling thread by thread, a silent and irreversible tragedy unfolding all around us. These three great crises, conflict, climate chaos, and mass extinction, are not separate issues to be addressed one by one. They are deeply interconnected, a symphony of destruction composed by our own civilization. The wars for resources exacerbate poverty and instability, which makes societies more vulnerable to climate disasters. The changing climate destroys ecosystems, which accelerates the loss of biodiversity. And the loss of biodiversity weakens the planet's ability to regulate the climate and provide the resources we need, creating the potential for further conflict. We are caught in a downward spiral, a modern deluge of our own making, and escaping it will require a coordinated effort on a scale never before attempted. The planet is speaking to us. It doesn't use words, but its language is clear and impossible to ignore. We see its message in the great ice sheets of Greenland and Antarctica, which are melting at an astonishing rate. These ancient glaciers, which have been stable for thousands of years, are now pouring trillions of tons of water into our oceans, causing sea levels to rise and threatening coastal communities around the world. Each calving iceberg that crashes into the sea is a punctuation mark in a sentence that warns of inundation. The cold, remote regions of our world are sending a feverish signal that the entire planetary system is out of balance. We can read the same message in the silent retreat of life from our world. The chorus of birdsong that once filled our mornings is growing quieter. The vibrant coral reefs, those bustling underwater cities of color and life, are bleaching to a ghostly white, starved by the warming, acidifying seas. The great forests of the world, the very lungs of our planet, are burning or being cut down, replaced by sterile fields of monoculture crops. These are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a profound sickness, a sign that the life support systems of Earth are beginning to fail under the immense pressure we have placed upon them. For too long, we have viewed ourselves as separate from nature, as masters of a planet here to serve our needs. We have taken without giving back, and we have ignored the consequences. But we are not separate. We are deeply woven into the fabric of life. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, all are gifts from a healthy, functioning natural world. In harming the planet, we are ultimately harming ourselves. Nature's plea is not for its own sake alone. It is a desperate warning about the viability of our own future. The vanishing species and collapsing ecosystems are a reflection of a civilization on a collision course with reality. We now stand at the ultimate crossroads. The path of extinction is the one of inaction, of continuing our destructive habits, of allowing greed and short-sightedness to guide our decisions. The path of awakening is the one of conscious choice, of courage, and of profound change. It requires us to see the world not as a resource to be exploited, but as a precious home to be protected. The choice is ours, and it must be made now. The future of human civilization and the fate of countless other species with whom we share this remarkable planet depends entirely on what we decide to do in this critical moment. Our legacy will be written by our actions.